Welcome to Good Libations, which is our show about mixology. I'm Ethel Andrews, I'm a mixologist, and our aim is always to make innovative, creative drinks with different flourishes. And sometimes we do classics and we pretty much adhere to the recipe, but other times we go out there in our innovation, which of course makes for an interesting drink and a different touch. And today we're going to make another martini variant. And this one involves the muddling of cucumber and cilantro, which may sound pretty bizarre, but it actually produces a lovely result. And again, the purists who think that martini should not ever vary from gin and vermouth or, God forbid, vodka and vermouth don't like these martini variants, but that's too bad. We like to do them anyway. So anyhow, I'm going to go ahead and proceed with our muddling, first of all. And we're going to actually use the shaker as the medium for muddling the cilantro and the cucumber. And I have a knife here that looks like you could kill somebody with it, but we're going to use it anyway to cut up the cucumber into reasonably thin slices, but not ridiculously so. And then we're actually going to quarter those slices, and we're going to start muddling them in the shaker. And as usual, I'm using non-traditional muddlers. For those of you who think that you have to buy fancy barware, you don't have to buy a muddler. You can make do with even this broken thing here, which actually is kind of innovative in a way. But at any rate, I'm cutting up some cucumber and then quartering it. And you can use Persian cucumbers, you can use conventional ones, which is what this is. You can use any variety of cucumber that you wish. So I'm going to go ahead and divest these into the shaker. And I actually added a bit of bartender sugar in the bottom of the shaker, because whenever you muddle, it's always good to make sure that you muddle in the alcohol, and if you're adding sugar or blue agave or whatever, to add that as well. And now I'm going to go ahead and tear up a bit of the cilantro so that we can expel the oils and everything out of it a bit better. And we're not going to put an overwhelming amount of cilantro, just enough so that we can get the infusion of the goodness of it into the martini. And this is much like if you're muddling basil or muddling mint, very similar thing, except again, the taste of cilantro is imparted. And we've made margaritas before that involve cucumber and in that particular case, jalapeno peppers, but this lends itself very well to the vodka of a vodka martini. And that should be enough right there. So I'm going to go ahead and add the vodka, or at least enough of it to do some muddling. And I'm also at this point going to add a bit of lime. And we're going to add some other things in this as well, but we're going to add a bit of lime now. And now I'm going to start muddling these goodies here. And this is a particular muddle that you have to use a bit of force in. As I've demonstrated before, if I was muddling berries, such as raspberries or strawberries, you don't have to use a lot of force because you don't want to pulverize it. But because, again, this involves cucumber, we're going to have to use a bit of force. And this other fake muddler is going to be used because it tends to puncture that cucumber a bit more, so that we'll get more goodness out of it. Okay, and at this point in time, we're actually going to add a bit more lime. And we're going to add a bit of lemon. That I clumsily managed to squeeze on the table instead of in the shaker, but that's okay. And I'm going to leave some spent shell in here. And now I'm going to add ice and more of the vodka. And we're going to go ahead and shake it and see how it turns out. Okay, so down for the ice, the clumsy maneuver here. And again, this is a very worthy martini variant. In fact, even the purists tend to like this one because it turns out somewhat dry in spite of the sugar. But again, it has a different dimension to it because of the cilantro and the cucumber. So I'm going to go ahead and shake it. And then I'm going to go ahead and divest it into the glass. And when you do this, there might be a bit of residue from the cucumber and or the cilantro, but that's okay. If you want to use the style of shaker that you use with a glass on top and then strain it, that's fine too. But to me, this is perfectly acceptable. We don't have to get too puristic and exotic here. Okay, now we're going to add a bit of a garnish and a very, very thin slice of either a half or a quarter of cucumber. Makes a lovely garnish, plus a tiny, tiny bit of lime will do as well. And sometimes too, a little bit of blood orange is a good thing to add to this. You can, or you can add conventional orange to it if you wish. So you can get creative, you can do what you want with it as long as it stays within the bounds of what marries with the base alcohol. So I'm going to go ahead and try this and see if it is turning out well. Oh, that tastes really nice if I say so myself. And again, this is not out of the reach of anyone. Making this sort of a drink, in a way, the more expertise that you get when you make cocktails, things like this should sort of come naturally and even intuitively, because you will be able to figure out, again, what ingredients will marry with the base alcohol and how you can expand beyond the box, as they kind of stereotypically say today, and create things that are beyond the average. In fact, one of the young ladies who works here at the studio, her name is Marjorie, a friend of hers came up with the idea of using shredded coconut in a margarita, and also using coconut water in it and coating the rim with a bit of the coconut water before, you know, it's dipped in the kosher salt. And what a lovely idea. Again, that shows that you're thinking and, you know, allowing yourself to do things that are innovative. And I thought that was just a wonderful idea. And it's also good for people who do mixology, because if you're receptive to hearing different ideas from different people, your repertoire of drinks will never end. But if you're stuck in the constraints of what you think is clever or good, you're going to end up in a situation where, sad to say, you're not listening to other people, and really you're narrowing your horizons. You're becoming cramped, actually, in your creative abilities. And she said that the friend of hers and herself also came up with an idea of making a spritzer that involves vodka and blueberries, that you actually make an infusion of yourself by steeping them in the vodka for over a day. And again, I thought that was an ingenious idea, an absolutely brilliant idea. So again, if we're open and open-minded about hearing ideas from other people, we can grow in our repertoire of drink making. So I always keep that in mind. It's always better to be humble, to recognize your limitations, and to listen to other people, because you can learn more and you can do more things. So again, experiment with this, experiment with your own ideas, and I think you will find that you will come up with a lot of good ideas. And again, for those people who feel that you're kind of bastardizing, so to speak, a martini by shaking it instead of stirring it, to my way of thinking, as I've mentioned before, that's not true. I think you make a more refreshing drink when you shake it versus stirring it. So again, keep in mind that this is your show and our show, and I hope you enjoy tuning into these episodes of Good Libations. And again, I'm Ethel Andrews, I'm a mixologist. And always drink responsibly and show respect for our community by moderating our alcohol consumption and keeping our community safe and well spoken of. Thank you again, and we'll tune in next time. Goodbye.